All right, this is your boy D back with another video on You Can Be Free. I got one of my favorite guests back with us on You Can Be Free. My brother in Christ, Mike. He was just on my channel just a couple of weeks ago. Powerful testimony that I had a lot of people comment, ask me about. For those of you that have not seen that video, I just want to encourage you to go and watch that. But for the ones that haven't seen it, Mike, if you could just give them like a little recap of your testimony, just let the viewers know a little bit about yourself.
Um, I'm from Sarasota, Florida. Uh, 13 years old. We moved to Tennessee. Um, got into a bunch of trouble. Started going down the wrong path. I have a mother that was saved for years, but I just started going down the wrong path. No father, looking for father figures, somebody to lead me. Got wrapped up in a bunch of bad things while I was in Tennessee, and I had a friend that died in my arms, got shot and killed, and I didn't know how to deal with it. So I went the drug path. It gave me a comfort, a short comfort taking drugs. And once I got onto the drugs, it just took me downhill. And I finally went to a friend's house. I started selling the pills that I was taking. And I went to a friend's house, and he was the first person to say, like, to check me. Everybody else just let me be that person, but he was the first person to say, "Man, look, my kids look at you as an uncle. They've known you since they was kids, and you just look bad." And it sparked something in me that, like, I need to quit. And I wound up leaving. Well, I started my withdrawals then, and it was just a downhill from there. I went to my mother's house, and I ran away from her. I was taking some drug. I can't even tell you what it was. It was a THC. Um, and at the same time, my blood sugar was dropping. I almost died. I lay down on the back of a train, woke up 6 hours later in a whole nother city, and my whole family was looking for me. And I had no idea. I had no phone, no way to contact them. And I was going to a shelter. Blood sugars kept acting up, and I kept going back and forth to the hospital. And I finally, something just went in my mind, like, try to dial your cell phone number, and that's what I did. And I got in contact with my family, and they told me everything that was going on. We've been looking for you. We have a search party. I had no idea any of it was going on. At that time, I think I was gone 4 days, 3, 4 days. And my sister was going to come get me, but then they locked me up. They said I had a warrant. So when I got out, thinking I was going home, they locked me up. I got out of jail, and my sister took me in. She was heavy in ministry and in the Lord strongly, and I could just see that when I was staying with her, I could just see she would spend so much time with God, and I was like, man, it was just like I never seen nothing like that because I knew who she was before, and so I gave my life to the Lord, and just, really it was through my sister. He used my sister to root me. You know what I mean? It just rooted me into God, just to help me get concrete. And from then on, I just been giving everything to God. Every
So
day
that's
change.
what my bad. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, but that's it. I was just saying, every day I'm changing, stronger, getting closer to God.
So that's what I wanted this interview to be like, kind of talking about life now for Mike. But before we get into just a few questions, Is there anything that you had talked about on the first video that you wanted to like kind of clear up or um just get straight?
Um, my daughter's mother, my first daughter's mother, I guess it was 15 years ago that we were together, so a lot of stuff was blurry. But I just wanted to clear up that we were married before my daughter was born, so she became pregnant after we had gotten married.
Okay.
But in the last one, she was the one who called me. She was just like, "You said this," you know what I mean? And I didn't think about the effect that it can cause because it was so long ago. You know what I mean? It's a long time since I even talked about it. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure people know that my daughter was born after I was married.
Something else I wanted to share too, a lot of people may not know that was your first time on camera. First time really like talking about it, but your first time on camera.
Yeah.
And most people that come on my channel and they share their testimony, they done told it like, you know, 20 to 30 times before they actually, come on my channel. Even myself, before I started this channel, I was out speaking it for years before I actually, started the YouTube channel. And, I was kind of laughing before we started recording just because, act like just the way that you told the story, the way that you were able to like draw people in, it just don't seem like, this was your first time sharing, but I can understand how that is though. If you tell something that was so long ago, you may get something wrong by because it was just so long ago. But I know you got a lot of calls after that. That was like maybe 3 weeks ago. What has your life been like since then, since you shared?
Um, it's just been tough. I mean, I can tell you that I know that I don't know if it's just specifically about the interview, but I've been attacked. You know what I mean? It's just certain things. I've been dealing with it for a long period, certain situations in my life, and I usually can deal with it and be like, okay, I know this is gonna happen. I'm pray God, just give me the wisdom how to get through it. But lately, it's just been heavy burdens on me, and like there ain't no way to get out. You know what I mean? I know it's an attack from Satan, but it's just been like clouded. And so usually I'll go to God, God help me, please. And I don't know, I can't explain it. It's just been a heavy burdens on me. And I know it's Satan. So I'm at war with him every day. Every day. And I don't know what my full purpose is or what God has for me, but I know it's something that I'm gonna do for him, and I know the devil's gonna continue to attack. But it's since this interview, since the first interview, I've definitely had a lot of attacks, a lot.
Yeah, we were supposed to go to church that next day, and then I woke up and then I had got, a message from you about how you wasn't feeling good and stuff like that. And I kind of wanted to talk to you about spiritual warfare because that's a side of it that I'll put it like this. With my story, when I became a Christian, I did not know about real spiritual warfare. So when I started telling my testimony, like I wasn't even really prepared for the attacks, the closed doors, things that I thought was going to work out wasn't working out, getting sick, like all this stuff. I didn't realize it because I would always, I think at that point in time in my life, I would hear more about messages in church that was about like you're about to get a breakthrough in the next 7 days, or go tell 7 people that your breakthrough is on the way. Tell your neighbor this, tell your neighbor that. But what I'm realizing about this walk, it's easy to, if your breakthrough is in 7 days, you ain't got nothing to worry about. I don't even really need to like hear any words of encouragement if that's the timing of God. But when I actually begin to speak myself, when I would preach to the men at the shelter, I would prepare them for when your breakthrough is not in 7 days or not in 7 months or even that year. because sometimes we are in life situations and it it's not, things happen that we don't expect, especially when the enemy is threatened by the calling of God that is over your life. So when you had told me about what was going on, I'm like, okay, yeah, you done scared you done scared the devil, you know what I mean? You done shook up hell. That's what that is about. He's threatened, he's scared, so now he's coming. And I look at attacks differently now, because now I know the devil always attack the truth. So if I, whatever he's speaking to me, I need to believe the opposite. If he's saying I'm sick, I know that I'm healed. If he's coming up against my finances, if he's saying that, if he's trying to put me in poverty, I know, because he sees prosperity. You know what I mean? Anything that he's going up against, that's where he see the favor of God. And I didn't realize that before. Um, but as far as like, you know, you staying strong enough to where you haven't been back in jail, you haven't, like, you've been staying clean. What have you learned like about spiritual warfare in the past like 3 years where you have not given up? Because even though we go through stuff, you know, I see that you are still, after 3 years, and even like after the attack since the last video, you're still here today, because you could have said, D, I don't even want to do it no more. Because some people do that. They throw in the towel, but you still here. So what have you learned that is helping you through this battle?
Um, but throughout since I've been saved, I've gotten a lot of attacks, and before, um, I was on drugs. So when these some certain problems or these attacks come, the drugs numb it. That was my go-to to get away. Okay, this is how I deal with it. I wasn't really dealing with them. I was just covering them. But since I've been saved, it's just been I don't know. I guess you could say like accountability, people that hold me accountable. You know what I mean? I don't want to disappoint them. I want my kids. I have kids in them. So it made me stay on the course. And then I would start seeing, oh, okay, I would start seeing what God's trying to do. But it would take a while, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
For me to realize, okay, I see what God's doing. So that happened so many times back to back. Now I can say, okay, I can hold on. I just need to hold on a little bit. I got to keep telling myself, you know what I mean? Even though there's a lot of them that it gets hard and hard, real bad, especially when it comes to my kids. That was constantly attacking me. He knows that's a big thing in my life, them. So he uses it constantly, but I see changes in it, and my relationship with my daughters, I just see it. You know what I mean? So it's I just pray to God every day. God, just open my eyes, tell me what I need to do. I told y'all before, like I just don't say, God, stop this, don't let it happen. I just say, God, give me the wisdom to know how to get through it, because it might be something God wants to happen. I mean, we need to learn. So yeah, that's it. I mean, that's it. It's just staying committed to God. Usually just give up. I just give up and be like, I'm done with it. I'm not, you know what I mean? I tried to get saved before and I was like, I'm done with it. Ain't enough money. I'm not making enough money. I gotta do everything legally. I gotta, you know what I mean? I gotta act a certain way. I don't have the same releases fighting, getting women, drugs. I can't do it. But now it's just in the long run, I'm starting to see this was the best decision I've ever made. And there ain't no going back from here.
So let's talk about that, because I know exactly what you was talking about, because when I first got saved, I was still cussing. I was still smoking cigarettes. I still wanted to drink 40s. I still wanted to cuss people out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking like, man, how am I gonna live like this? Like, how am I gonna look like some of the people that I've seen in church? And I was just thinking, like, there ain't no way, you know. But one thing that I can see about you, you're not a religious person. You
Yeah.
are you're definitely a man of God. Like I said, the first, I think I talked about it on the last time, on the last video, that our first time that we talked on the phone, we was on the phone like 3 hours talking about your story, my story, talking about Jesus. So I know he's done a work in the mind and in the heart. But like how, and like I said before, you're not religious, but when it comes to someone who may still have that mindset of fear because they feel like they can't live up to this standard to be a Christian, What can you say has helped you, or what could you say like for a person that will watches this that has that mindset that's like just feel like that they just can't do it?
Well, I had friends call me who are still living that life, like they want to be gangsters, and they were like, "Oh, we ain't with the God stuff." They every time they talk to me, they're like, "Oh, we ain't with that God stuff." They always say that, and I'll be telling them, I'm like, if y'all think it's tough to be gangster, I figured like it was easy. It was easy for me to do that. I didn't, you know what I mean? But when you give your life to God, being at war with Satan, Satan's gonna be attacking you constantly. It's harder to do this. It's harder and it stretches you, makes you grow. But that life is not for you. It's not, there ain't no purpose in it. There ain't nothing. And before you have to learn the hard way, just try. You know what I mean? Give it to God. Say, man, God knows your heart. Like, I'm trying, God. I'm trying to do the best I can. He knows when you're really trying. He knows if you're trying to put up a facade or lie. He knows. You know, that's why I'm always, I know it's just tough for me to even be fake at all. You know what I mean? It's tough for
Right.
me to, it's just tough for me to do it. I can't put on something that I'm not. I can't do it. And I just think that if you wait and hold on, the breakthrough gonna come. And soon you can look back and say, man, I used to do this. Now look at it. And it's nothing but God. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Before I get to the next question, I had seen something on, I think it was like YouTube, and it's this YouTube channel called Atlanta Street Interviews, and it's pretty much this guy that's going around interviewing people in Atlanta that are homeless, that are on drugs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think back to like I wonder like, what if I never gave God a chance? Like, that could be me. Because when it comes to living that lifestyle, like, you never know, you could be one decision away from never coming back, whether if that is because you got an addiction, or because you selling drugs, or because you about to like go over somebody's house where some action could be taken at and you could just be getting hit by a straight bullet, or you serving somebody who working for the feds and they're ready to give you a life sentence. Like, you just never know. Because I look back at that lifestyle and the times that I did get locked up, I'd be thinking like, dang, I should have never made that call, or I should have never did this, or I should have never did that. But that time, I mean, it's too late because you locked up. But that's
Yeah.
easy though, because that's just jail. You get out of jail, but you just don't never know, like when you get the wrong hit of drugs and it affects your body in such a way, like you never go back, like you never recover from that. And I feel like that's what has happened to some of the people that was on that YouTube show, because something happened in their life where it affected them so much to where drugs took over them completely, so where they wanted to be homeless and sell their body and all types of stuff like that. And I know all over the world, and Tennessee, where you lived, where I lived, and Florida, different places, people are hooked on drugs, whether if it's fentanyl or crack or cocaine or opiates or whatnot. And I think you know, I talked to you before about like when it comes to testimonies, I think what people really want to know, people get encouraged about when they know another person has gotten free. But I think what really helps a person is to know like, how did we come out? How did you get out? What do you think was a big factor? And not only in you getting clean, but you staying clean.
Um, a lot of it was with my kids. Um, I just didn't want to be the same as my father was. You know what I mean? I just
Hmm.
didn't want to be. I always been like that. I just didn't know how to be better than him. So he was like the blueprint for me. So I was like, this. I guess this is what it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? But another thing is my brothers. I just didn't want to see them do bad. So I always wanted to change, but I had so many problems I didn't know how to deal with it. So I had these under problems that I never talked to nobody about. Trauma that happened in my life I never dealt with, and so the drugs helped it. So it made me feel normal, like I'm a normal person inside. I couldn't see myself. I wasn't looking at myself. I couldn't pay attention. I thought I was just being over. Nobody couldn't tell that I'm popping a pill. That's why I popped the pills. I never tried to smoke them. I never tried to shoot them up because it was clean popping them. It made me feel like I'm not a drug addict. But it was bad. It was bad. And but yeah, it's just a lot of trauma in your life, and a lot of people don't know how to deal with it. I think that's a big problem. They just don't know how to deal with it, and nobody's teaching them. And mine was just the people in my life, my younger brothers, my sisters. I just wanted to be better. You know what I mean? It was just a time and a place. It ended. I was tired. Got to a tired point. Really, it was. I almost died. You know what I mean? And a lot of people say I'm not afraid of death. I used to think that all the time. I was never afraid of death. I used to walk in right in the middle of people having shootouts, and I did not fear death. I don't know why, but when I was laying on the back of the train and I could feel I'm dying. Oh, this is it. And I was like, man, I started thinking about, especially my daughter is the strongest thing I was thinking about. Like, man, they gonna look at me like I'm my father, same as my father was, and it woke me up, But it took me almost being to die almost for it to change my life. A lot of people don't need to do that. They just need to figure out that trauma, how to deal with that trauma, and let God work. God will lead them. You got to put God in, man. Without God, it's not gonna work.
So I know you had told me two people that was impact on your recovery. One was your sister, but then you also mentioned somebody else that helped you get on this journey of staying clean. You want to talk about that? Because I mean I forgot. I can't say it like how you said.
Yeah, I had a friend. Um, at the time, I wasn't really bad on the drugs. I was doing drugs, but I don't think I was doing these pills at this time. And I was selling a lot of them. I had trash can bags full of these pills, and they're probably the size of my pinky ring. And so I go to his house. He had a house out in Tennessee, I think from McMahonville, I believe. And he was never had addictive personality like the rest of them. He would get on drugs, get on weed. He would do a drug, but it would be easy for him to quit. You know what I mean? He was real smart. And so when I went to his house, uh, I was popular, but I wasn't bad off because I didn't want him to come. He was a type to be like, you can't do. He was a good friend. You know what I mean? He would check me just like I would do him. That's why we got along because we check each other. Oh, bro, you look bad. You need to stop. That's just what we did. So it was hard to do things around him. But he got locked up, and it was like a 2 week. I think it was. I forget what it was. It was some petty charge, and that 2 weeks, that's when I really went over the deep end. I was just popping because nobody was there to check me. You know
And
what I mean?
from there, you said you had stayed with your sister for a year, right?
After that, yeah,
Okay, so just kind of going back to some things that you had said. First thing that you were saying is God. You know what I mean? We can't stay free without him. Um, Another thing that you had said is your why. You had a why, and I think that's what sometimes people got to really like think about, like, is getting high bigger than your why? And it's going to be different for other people. You know, for you it was for your kids, for other people it could be for their mom, or it could be because they want to just break that generational curse. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But I that's so true. Your why has to be greater than the urge to want to get high. You also said too, man, that is really important. I feel like people have to be in a place where they are truly tired. Because if you ain't tired, if your mind haven't been changed for real, uh, you're gonna go back and just do the same thing. It you have to
yeah,
be at a point where you just get sick of yourself. But one thing that I want to say is like people don't want to wait, you know, before it gets to that thing, because people have to know, like, when you live in that lifestyle, it's only, if there is no up, it's only the fact that you'll go down further and further and further. But one of the best things that I like that you had said outside of God, all of them is good. But what I realized, like for me, is just having the right people in your life. You know, it's a blessing that God had got your sister out first, so that way, like you could be around somebody like that for a year. And you had mentioned she had spent so much time with God, which is good because that kind of like shows give almost like an example, like to you, like what God can do, because you had talked about all the things that God has done in her life just by being in his presence. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes people uh are in a area of deception because they think that they can just uh do this thing by themselves. You know what I mean? And the Bible says that it's not good for man to be alone. You know, in that particular passage, he's talking about marriage, but even with Jesus, you know, Jesus would send the disciples out by two. You know, Paul was alone when he was in jail, but when he was out, like he had somebody to go with him. And I think, and I've even heard before that they say the opposite of addiction. I thought it was sobriety, but in a lot of sobriety circles, they say the opposite of addiction is connection, is community, you know, like to be with people. And I think that, you know, people that have tried to do things over and over again, they'll get out of jail, or it might even be jail, it might be rehab. They're going in and out with the same cycle because they haven't really connected to the right people. Because I think, especially like with men, one of the hardest things for us to do is to admit to another man that we need help. But I mean, even with me as a leader, like I'm getting to a place where I'm getting more and more comfortable with that because I'm supposed to be the one helping people, but there's times when all of us need help because we're human. But
Yeah.
last thing I want to talk about, and then we'll close. I don't want to hold you too long. You also had mentioned uh trauma, you know, that we will use or that people use to to handle the addiction. And your story, man, the things that you had went through with the people that you had lost, that is it's really traumatic. And for people that have went through certain things in their life, like what can you give them to, like, when they're dealing with trauma and what they've been doing is using drugs to escape the trauma? Because if anybody know, you know, how to get through something like that, it's definitely you. Because like I said, your story is just it's powerful.
Yeah. Um, how can I say this? Like the drugs, they will give it's a false sense of healing,
Mm, that's
and it's
good,
going
Mike. That's
and
good.
it's going to keep you're going to keep using it
That's
because
good, man.
you're chasing that out. You want somebody to fix it. You want it to be fixed, so you're going to constantly chase it. But if you take them drugs away and deal with that problem, not saying this the problem's gonna go away because the devil's gonna keep using it, but you'll know how. You'll learn how, but you can't learn how high. You can't learn how to deal with it high. It's impossible. It's not gonna go away. And I mean, my son passing was probably one of the worst things I've ever dealt with. It was hard. I could not function, and then I had to take care of his mother and my daughter and her kids while going through all this. It was just the hardest thing I've ever dealt with, and it's still today. I still feel it sometimes, but I know the answers. You know what I mean? I prayed to God in these 3 years that I've been saved and sober. God opened my eyes to tell me he's all right. You know what I mean? That was my worst fear. Like I kept feeling like, oh, it's my fault. I should have been there. I should have never left him in the house by himself. I should have came home. I shouldn't have been at work. It was all kinds of stupid stuff that I was thinking about. It was nothing but the devil. You know what I mean? He was constant attacking. He's a constant. It's constant. And especially them people that have a big purpose in their life. You know what I mean? He's really going to attack y'all, and them drugs can be one of them, especially in this day and age. Drugs are so easy. Like they trying to legalize weed, and they want you to think that weed is just okay. You'll be okay. You can smoke it because it's legal, but that's far from the truth. You know what I mean? It's
Right,
bad.
right.
I could just tell. I know people right now that smoke. I talk to them. They 3 hours on the couch, sitting on the couch. Like, how do y'all have that time? It's unreal. But yeah, the trauma needs to be dealt with sober minded, and I know it's hard because I went through it, but man, God will guide you through it. And there's a lot of people say, God, 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 ask God, but God will really do it if you take out whatever anybody else is saying. Go into that Bible or go into your secret place and say, God, I need your help. Just ask him. He gonna be there. He gonna be there. And you just need to have trust in him. That's it. That's all I can say.
That's
Them drugs.
it. Hey, the doors of the church are open with that. I love what you said, man. It's a false sense of reality. And then all it does is put you into a bigger stronghold because there's a saying that people used to say when it comes to, I think it's heroin. They say chasing the dragon because the more you go to it, it's almost like you're going to the devil for comfort, but each time he's just putting you in a stronger and a stronger grip. But the Bible says it's the truth that'll make us free. And I love what you said, man. I want to thank you for your time again. And I just want to encourage you, man, to keep doing what you're doing. Because like I said, when I knew that the enemy was coming after you, like I knew what it was. I'm like, man, this is just confirmation of who you are. Because what's a trip is what I've realized is sometimes the devil will believe in you more than you believe in you. You know, the attack is just a confirmation of who you are in God. Because honestly, truth be told, when I was in the world, I didn't have no problems with the devil because he had me. You know, I was working, we was on the same team. Any problems that I had was because of my own doing. I was the weapon formed against myself, but he never bothered me. He didn't have to, you know. And so I'm proud of you, man. I want to thank you for your time. And I'll just close this video as I always do for those struggling with drug addiction. You can look at my brother. If you've seen his before picture and just see him now, you can just tell, just know that God has done something powerful in his life. So just know, no matter what you're dealing with, no matter what you're struggling with, just know that you can be free because who the Son has set free is free indeed. I love y'all and I am out.